Welcome back, Math 098. We're doing Chapter 4, Section 4, and I believe this textbook assumes that you have experience with matrices. I don't know if that's true. But what a matrix is, so matrices is the plural of matrix, sort of like vertices is the plural of vertex. So with matrices, it's just a collection of numbers that we put in a bracket. So it looks something like this, and we define a matrix by rows and numbers, rows and columns, excuse me. I don't know if how much of a lesson you really want to do with this. So some people remember rows by columns, by RC remote control, race cars, RC Cola, whatever you want. But it's just a collection of numbers. And like on this one, I'll explain where I'm getting these values here shortly, although you might look at it and see right away. But this is a 2 by 3 matrix. So here's an example of a 2 by 3 matrix because there are 2 rows. So we do the rows this way. Row 1, row 2, and then we do the columns on top. So column 1, column 2, column 3. And there's a lot of different operations you can do with matrices. You can add them, multiply them. There's a lot of things that go on with multiplication though. And again, I think they just assume that you look at this problem, you automatically know what a matrix is. And I'm not sure if you have that background information. So what I'm going to do is show you how to use Desmos. Let me write it down. Desmos actually created a matrix tool. But before I go to that website, I'm going to show you what you'll be doing in this problem. And it's the same thing as what you've already been doing. And if you haven't figured out by now that we write this matrix with all the coefficients. Coefficient, 1's a coefficient, 4's a coefficient. Now -2 is technically a constant, but you just want to make sure that it's in this form, that x's line up, y's line up, and then it equals some constant. So notice that if you added 2 to the left side, it would have the wrong value over here. So make sure it's written in this form. So the premise of this is this is actually called an augmented matrix. You don't need to know what it's called. But what you can do is you can perform what is called row operations. So as I look at that, let me just rewrite it for you. Yeah, right. So 1, 4, -2, 3, -1, 7 is your goal is to get this number right here to be 0. So what you could do, and there's a lot of mental math going on here, so if you get confused, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to use an online calculator, is you think about, well, I could get this to be 0 if I multiply the top by -3, because 1 times -3 is this, and then add it to the second row. We usually write it like this, row 2, row subscript 2, R subscript 2, I guess. So when I do that, the top row is going to be the same, 1, 4, -2. So the mental math is 1 times -3 is -3 plus 3 gives me 0. So then go to the next one. 4 times -3 is -12 plus -1 gives me -13. And then this one, -2 times -3 is 6 plus 7 equals 13. Now this is not all that they want you to do. I'll try and scroll down for you. Is the next goal is to look at this number and make it equal 1. Well, we can do that by dividing that by -1. So then your new matrix would look like this. 1, 4, -2, 0, 1. Sorry, I said that wrong. You want it to equal 1, and we do that by dividing by -13. I'm way ahead of myself. And then 13 divided by -13 is -1. So now what we have figured out is that we have a new system. The top system is still x plus 4y equals -2, as was, let me highlight, same thing as up here. But now the bottom equation is 0x, 1y equals -1. Well, look at that. That's one of our answers. And now we can work backwards and figure out, okay, x minus 4 equals -2. So x must equal, well, -4 added over x equals 2. And you can verify that that is true in this problem. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 2 plus -4 equals -2. If that went above your head, just relax, all right? Because what I'm going to do is show you on Desmos. So let me pull up my Desmos. Just type in desmos.com, like on your desmos.com/matrix, and it should show up. And I'm going to try and extend the screen, except it's just making it move. Let me pause it. There we go. Now I was able to figure out. Okay, so you can see desmos.com/matrix, and it looks something like this. Now I already played around with this and actually plugged in the matrix. So what you want to do is make a new matrix, and then they actually name it a new matrix, but I already named it as matrix A. And if you ever mess up, you can just go back and you can type it in. They won't let me change matrix A though, because it's already defined up here as that matrix. All right. So notice that you can change rows and columns. So if you want to play around with this, you can see how rows go up. Like I label them rows going across, but there's 4 rows going across. You can change that. You can mess with your columns. So matrix B right now is a 2x4 matrix. Now it's a 3x4, 4x4, 5x4. And we'll get to eventually a 3x4 matrix. So I'm going to leave it at that. Whoops. Let's just clear that out. I don't want that. So what you'll notice is once you have this in here, hit enter, I think, although this is the first time I've really used this tool. What you want to do is come down to this button where it says ref. So as you type in ref, and then you name your matrix that you have named, which I had named A. This is the same problem, by the way. I already went through and made sure it worked. And then just hit enter. Well, you don't even have to hit enter. It actually already gave you your answers. Let me scroll over. Now, this doesn't look like the answer I gave you, because this is what's called reduced row echelon form. Well, if you change this back into the system of equations, let me go back to our board. So that answer was written as 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, -1. Well, as a system, this is equal to just x plus 0y equals 2, and 0x plus 1y equals -1. Isn't that the exact same thing that we had here? And that answer is yes. And the reason why I'm bringing that to your attention then, I'm trying to move this and go to the next screen, sorry I'm all over the place here, is I want you to use a graphing calculator to figure out the answer to this. Desmos is fine. Graphing calculators also work. So let's practice. Desmos. Let's clear that out. Let's make a new matrix. It's a 2x3. I just remember the 2 in the problem. Nope, that wasn't even right. It goes 1, -3, 3. And you can use your arrow keys. That's what I'm doing to move around. -2, 6, 4. All right, hit enter. And then the ref tool, matrix B, and you see your answer already over here. Uh-oh. Well, now what we have is a new system. Okay, so let's write that down. Let me explain what this means. So we had that system that was 1, -3, 0, and then 0, 0, 1. So let's write that as a system of equations. That's basically saying x minus 3y is equal to 0. And then the second equation is 0 equals 1. Oh, well, this is a false statement. So what does that mean for us? That means that there is no solution. In other words, these two lines would be parallel to each other. No solution. So if you're going to use this tool and you're confused on what this means right here, well, if it's 0, 0, 1, it's no solution. The other option is 0, 0, 0 is infinitely many solutions, which I believe is the very next problem. Let's look. Oh, no. So maybe I should write it down. So if you ever get, it doesn't even matter what those other numbers are. A, B, probably 0 there, and then 0, 0, 0. So this is a different example. This is saying that there are infinitely many solutions. All right. So let's look at because how many of you struggled with the 3 variable equations? I don't know. So I want you to try using Desmos real quick. And to try and make this into one video, I'm going to pause and just magically have a matrix set up. So hit pause, try it on your own, and then hit play, and you're going to see my answer magically there. Oops. All right, so pulling up I already created my new matrix, calling it matrix C. So now I can just hit ref, matrix C, and now you can see it's in reduced row echelon form. So this is just saying x equals -1, y equals 1, and z equals 2. And that is your answer. And you can even write it as an ordered triple. -1, 1, I already forgot, 2. So play around with this. Double check that it's correct. -1 plus 3 is 2, minus 2 equals 0. It'll always work. Graphing calculators are your friend. All right. Have one more. And notice that I have a homework assignment in here. But I just made it 3 quick problems because you've already been practicing this. You're getting used to a new calculator. You're probably wishing I assigned more from this and less from the previous one, but that's okay. So this time I'm going to try and go back and forth with a new matrix in case you really struggled with that previous one. So make a new matrix. I'm going to call it D. Change your rows. So this is a 3 by 4 matrix. And it's 1, 2, 1, 2. -2, -1, 2, 5. And then 1, 3, -2, -8. Just double checking. If you ever mess up, like you hit enter and you mess up, you can actually just go back and change it. So what I like about this tool, it's really easy. Hit ref of matrix D. So your top row is saying x, 1x plus 0y plus 0z. So x equals 1, y equals -1, and z equals 3. 1, -1, 3. You can double check if that's right. Very, very easy once you know how to use the technology. So, enjoy. Hopefully that made perfect sense. It's just a tool to put in our back pocket, and yes, there will be problems this easy on the test. So please reach out to me if you are struggling with this. And yeah.